Section 13 of English Synonyms and Antonyms. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Mario Pineda. English Synonyms and Antonyms by James Champlin Fernald. Becoming to Bluff. Becoming. Synonyms: befitting, beseeming, comely, congruous, decent, decorous, fit, fitting, graceful, meet, neat, proper, seemly, suitable, worthy. That is becoming in dress which suits the complexion, figure, and other qualities of the wearer, so as to produce on the whole a pleasing effect. That is decent which does not offend modesty or propriety. That is suitable which is adapted to the age, station, situation, and other circumstances of the wearer. Coarse, heavy boots are suitable for farm work. A juvenile style of dress is not suitable for an old lady. In conduct much the same rules apply. The dignity and gravity of a patriarch would not be becoming to a child. At a funeral lively, cheery sociability would not be decorous, while noisy hilarity would not be decent. Sumptuous display would not be suitable for a poor person. Fit is a compendious term for whatever fits the person, time, place, occasion, etc., as a fit person, a fit abode, a fit place. Fitting or befitting is somewhat more elegant, implying a nicer adaptation. Meet, a somewhat archaic word, expresses a moral fitness, as meet for heaven. Compare beautiful. Antonyms: awkward, ill-becoming, ill-fitting, improper, indecent, indecorous, unbecoming, unfit, unseemly, unsuitable. Prepositions: the dress was becoming to the wearer. Such conduct was becoming in him. Beginning. Synonyms: arising, commencement, fount, fountain, inauguration, inception, initiation, opening, origin, outset, rise, source, spring, start. The Latin commencement is more formal than the Saxon beginning, as the verb commence is more formal than begin. Commencement is for the most part restricted to some form of action, while beginning has no restriction, but may be applied to action, state, material, extent, enumeration, or to whatever else may be conceived of as having a first part, point, degree, etc. The letter A is at the beginning, not the commencement, of every alphabet. If we were to speak of the commencement of the Pacific Railroad, we should be understood to refer to the enterprise and its initiatory act. If we were to refer to the roadway, we should say, "Here is the beginning of the Pacific Railroad." In the great majority of cases, begin and beginning are preferable to commence and commencement as the simple, idiomatic English words, always accurate and expressive. In the beginning was the word, John 1:1. An origin is the point from which something starts or sets out, often involving and always suggesting causal connection, as the origin of evil, the origin of a nation, a government, or a family. A source is that which furnishes a first and continuous supply, that which flows forth freely or may be readily recurred to, as the source of a river, a source of knowledge, a source of inspiration. Fertile land is a source, not an origin of wealth. A rise is thought of as in an action. We say that a lake is the source of a certain river, or that the river takes its rise from the lake. Motley wrote of the rise of the Dutch Republic. Fount, fountain, and spring, in their figurative senses, keep close to their literal meaning. Compare cause. Antonyms. See synonyms for end. Behavior. Synonyms: action, bearing, breeding, carriage, conduct, demeanor, deportment, life, manner, manners. Behavior is our action in the presence of others. Conduct includes also that which is known only to ourselves and our Maker. Carriage expresses simply the manner of holding the body, especially in sitting or walking, as when it is said of a lady, "She has a fine carriage." Bearing refers to the bodily expression of feeling or disposition, as a haughty bearing. A noble bearing, demeanor, is the bodily expression, as a haughty bearing, a noble bearing. Demeanor is the bodily expression not only of feelings, but of moral states, as a debut demeanor. Breeding, unless with some adverse limitation, denotes that manner and conduct which result from good birth and training. Deportment is behavior as related to a set of rules, as the pupil's deportment was faultless. A person's manner might be that of a moment or toward a single person. His manners are his habitual style of behavior toward or before others, especially in matters of etiquette and politeness, as good manners are always pleasing. Prepositions: The behavior of the pastor to or towards his people, on or upon the streets, before the multitude, or in the church, with the godly or with the worldly, was alike faultless. Bend. Synonyms: bias, bow, crook, curve, deflect, deviate, diverge, incline, influence, mold, persuade, stoop, submit, turn, twine, twist, warp, gild. In some cases, a thing is spoken of as bent where the parts make an angle, but oftener to bend is understood to be to draw to or through a curve, as to bend a bow. To submit or yield is to bend the mind humbly to another's wishes. To incline or influence is to bend another's wishes toward our own. To persuade is to draw them quite over. To warp is to bend silently through the whole fiber, as a board in the sun. To crook is to bend irregularly, as a crooked stick. Deflect, deviate, and diverge are said of any turning away. Deviate commonly of a slight and gradual movement, diverge of a more sharp and decided one. To bias is to cut across the texture or incline to one side. In figurative use always with an unfavorable import. Mold is a stronger word than bend. We may bend by a superior force that which still resists the constraint. As a bent bow, we mold something plastic entirely to some desired form. Benevolence. Synonyms: almsgiving, beneficence, benignity, bounty, charity, generosity, goodwill, humanity, kindheartedness, kindliness, kindness, liberality, munificence, philanthropy, sympathy, unselfishness. According to the etymology and original use, beneficence is the doing well, benevolence the wishing or willing well to others. But benevolence has come to include beneficence and to displace it. We should not now speak of benevolence which did not help, unless where there was no power to help. Even then we should rather say goodwill or sympathy. Charity, which originally meant the purest love for God and man, as in 1 Corinthians 13, is now almost universally applied to some form of almsgiving, and is much more limited in meaning than benevolence. Benignity suggests some occult power of blessing, such as was formerly ascribed to the stars. We may say a good man has an air of benignity. Kindness and tenderness are personal. Benevolence and charity are general. Kindness extends to all sentient beings, whether men or animals, in prosperity or in distress. Tenderness especially goes out toward the young, feeble, and needy, or even to the dead. Humanity is so much kindness and tenderness toward man or beast as it would be inhuman not to have. We say of some act of care or kindness. Common humanity requires it. Generosity is self-forgetful kindness in disposition or action. It includes much besides giving, as the generosity of forgiveness. Bounty applies to ample giving, which on a larger scale is expressed by munificence. Liberality indicates broad, genial, kindly views, whether manifested in gifts or otherwise. We speak of the bounty of a generous host, the liberality or munificence of the founder of a college, or of the liberality of a theologian toward the holders of conflicting beliefs. Philanthropy applies to wide schemes for human welfare, often but not always involving large expenditures in charity or benevolence. Compare mercy. Antonyms: barbarity, brutality, churlishness, greediness, harshness, illiberality, ill will, inhumanity, malevolence, malignity, niggardliness, selfishness, self-seeking, stinginess, unkindness. Prepositions: benevolence of, or on the part of, or from the wealthy, to or toward the poor. Bind. Synonyms: compel, engage, fasten, fetter, fix, oblige, restrain, restrict, secure, shackle, tie. Binding is primarily by something flexible, as a cord or bandage drawn closely around an object or group of objects, as when we bind up a wounded limb. We bind a sheaf of wheat with a cord. We tie the cord in a knot. We fasten by any means that will make things hold together, as a board by nails or a door by a lock. The verbs tie and fasten are scarcely used in the figurative sense, though using the noun we speak of the ties of affection. Bind has an extensive figurative use. One is bound by conscience or honor. He is obliged by some imperious necessity, engaged by his own promise, compelled by physical force or its moral equivalent. Antonyms: free, loose, set free, unbind, unfasten, unloose, untie. Prepositions: bind to a pillar, unto an altar, to a service. Bind one with chains or in chains. One is bound by a contract. A splint is bound up